Good morning. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Wilson Center and acknowledge the presence of many of our board members in our front row, especially the chairman of our board, Ambassador Joe Gildenhorn, his wife Alma Gildenhorn, Barry Jackson, Sandra Gerber, the vice chairman of our board, and his wife, and others and supporters of the Wilson Center. Also recognize Hale Esfandiari, who directs our extraordinary Middle East program. And I'm looking for other staff, but let me just move on with this. Ehud Olmert came to Washington late last night. I'm sure this is his 1,000th visit, but he graces us by appearing today at an event moderated by Aaron Miller. And he will go on after this to some other of our friendly competitors, but he's coming here first. We note this. The subject of Middle East peace has been addressed here for years. If you want to know, and I'm sure you will hear it today, who has made one of the few who have made the biggest effort for Middle East peace. He's sitting right to my left. A few weeks ago here, we hosted an event focused on getting to a two-state solution, a regional perspective. And we had, I just want you to know, my friend, an extraordinary group of people. Raith Al-Omari, the executive director of the American Task Force on Palestine, Marwan Mouasher, whom I'm sure you know, the former Jordanian foreign minister, and Gilad Sher, the head of the Institute for National Security Studies and former Israeli chief peace negotiator. Aaron Miller moderated that conversation, and everyone who heard it came away saying, why isn't this happening? And, oh, by the way, if a few years ago an offer that Israel made had been accepted, we wouldn't even have to have this conversation. Elected to the Knesset at the tender age of 28, Ehud Olmert began his career as, and continues, as a maverick. He has had a breadth and depth of experience in Israeli politics, including serving as mayor of Jerusalem, which is where I first met him, Minister of Health, Minister of Trade and Industry and Labor, Minister in charge of the Land Administration and the Broadcasting Authority, and of course, Israel's 12th Prime Minister. His more than 30 meetings with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas represented perhaps the most intensive effort yet to reach an agreement on final status. And the positions Olmert took on the core issues reflected Israel's most far-reaching efforts to reach a negotiated settlement. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, in her memoirs, called some of the former Prime Minister's 2008 negotiating positions in the name of peace remarkable. Today, Ehud Olmert is still out front pushing the importance of an Israeli-Palestinian agreement, and I, for one, remain bullish that we will have it. It is not only in the interests of the Palestinians, but it is clearly in the interests of Israelis to do this. And hopefully, with conversations like the one we're having today and with efforts in the region, including the Arab Peace Initiative, which has been resurrected by the Arab League, there will be more pressure on both countries to reach a final status agreement. As my friend David Ignatius detailed in his column last week in the Washington Post, a Kerry advisor emphasized that Secretary Kerry wants to convey to people in the region how peace would improve their daily lives. As you all know, Secretary Kerry has made 4 trips to the region since becoming secretary and plans to remain keenly active. And maybe that initiative, which certainly I personally applaud, will also make a difference. I have a dream that the Mideast region becomes an economic powerhouse, a trade center focused on rich resources, information technology and the internet, and human capital. All countries in the region would win if this occurred, and surely Israel, living in peace with her neighbors, finally would not only be a winner, but a great partner for others in the region. I last saw Ehud in Herzliya about a month ago at a dinner. The next morning, He was planning to run a half marathon in Tel Aviv and then take off for the United States. He did these things. There was record heat in Tel Aviv. A lot of people had trouble with the half marathon, but he just told me it was one of his best times ever. And so, my friends, one of our best times ever is welcoming Prime Minister Ehud Olmert here, and then following his remarks, our impressive Aaron David Miller will ask him some questions. Please welcome Prime Minister Olmert.